Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to show you how you can trade in Anno 1800. So trading is a fairly complex business in this game and it comes in various different forms. To begin with, I'm going to talk about self-trading and then sort of move on to other elements of trading. And trading here is actually quite important. It's one of the fundamental parts of the game itself. And in order to start trading, you're gonna need ships. Now, depending on what level of difficulty you start off with, you might already have a flagship when you start the game, but if you don't, you will need to be building ships via a shipyard. And the first tier of ship that you can build is the schooner. Once you start building schooners, such as this one just here, you have the ability to either manually trade, which I'll show you now. Basically, all you have to do is come up to your dock, press the transfer menu. In my case, my schooner's currently got a particular guy for a trade union here, so I'm just going to put him in. And then I have the option to take various resources from this island. So, for example, if I want to move some wood, I can take that over to a different island or any other resource here. And to simply deposit it, you have to sail over to the other island again and just right-click and deposit it, and that will allow you to move resources about. That is the first way of doing it. The next way to do it, and the easier way in my opinion, is to come down here to the routes tab, and then we click this, you'll see several different routes that I currently have going on here. However, yours will probably be blank if it's the first time you're doing this. In order to get started, all you have to do is create route, and then you have the option to either do a charter route, which is good if you want to move goods between your islands, or you could create a route here between islands to sell or buy goods. Both work for moving resources. It doesn't actually really matter whether it's a trade or charter. With the trade route, all you need to go ahead and do is add a ship to that. So for example, if I just add one of my ships here as the base ship, it's currently got 3 cargo lots. You can see here obviously the different ships have different cargo lots. So the Clipper is a much bigger ship and has a cargo slot of 4. And all you need to then do is go ahead and click the islands that you want to make the trades between. Now, for example, with this one here, I've obviously started off at the island called Baltiway in my game. This is the first island that it will call off. And then you've got the load goods and unload goods function. You only have one set here, and that starts off, but as soon as I start filling this up, you'll see that more spawn. So, for example, for the sake of this tutorial, let's say I want to move, let's move some, we'll stick with some wood again for this example. And I'm going to go ahead and fully load this, so we've got 4 slots as we see. And I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Now, as I move between the islands, I'm going to tell it to unload the wood as it goes, and then it will basically now travel to all of the other islands I've selected and drop the wood off as it goes. Now, if the island that it gets to first has no wood and the capacity to take all of the wood, it will take all of the wood from the ship, and the ship will effectively go on to the other islands completely empty. Now, that is not the most efficient way of doing it. However, I like to do that myself, and the reason for that being is because I basically like to know that effectively all of these islands are going to be full of wood all of the time, whenever they need it. And if I come back to an island later on, and I want to build some new buildings, it's going to have that wood already sitting there, and this ship will basically go from island to island to island, topping it up as it goes. It'll take a while to fill them all up, but once it's done, and that island will then just have full wood all of the time. And if I ever want to switch it off, I can do, and this will then just carry on, and I just press accept, and you can see here now that that's added to our list, and I can go back in here and change it at any time. If you want, you also have the option here to wait until unload. So if you have this selected, what this will do is actually not leave the dock until it has managed to get rid of all of the wood. So it will stay there until I've spent the wood if the island is full. The other option you have is to tell it to discard the cargo If the island is full, it will then just throw the rest of the wood into the water. I don't particularly want it to do that. And then the other option that you have as well is to tell it to wait for goods. And this will basically wait to fill up at the dock before sailing off. The downside of doing this, however, is that it will sit in the dock and block any other ships from effectively coming in and using it as well. Now, I tend to do that with a lot of different resources, depending on my island management. I've set it up so that different islands do different things. So, for example, over here, I've got one island that's really just focused on clothing production, hop production, and snaps. And these are optimized then in order to benefit from trade unions, and then I will ship those goods around accordingly. Now, the other way that you can do trading in this day as well, and this is a really good way to make money, is by selling your excess resources to NPCs. Again, I can do that manually, or I can set up a route. So, for example, I'm just going to actually go ahead and delete this route here and recreate it for the sake of this. But I'm going to create this route here, do a trade route here between this island, Roscoff, and Wormway's Prison. Now, for those of you who don't know, Wormway's Prison really likes two resources. They are potatoes and soap. And if I go ahead here and load up this ship with soap and sell it here at Wormway's, I will now make money every time it drops off 100 soap. And it's actually quite a lot of money. I'll come over and just show you now quickly. We just go over to Wormway's. You can see what they will pay for resources by clicking on prison, going to the goods section, and just here you can see that they will pay $384 effectively per soap. So by dropping off 100, I stand to make $38,400 every time I do a shipment. Now, I will also say, guys, that as you begin doing volume trading, you will see here that you get quite a lot of backlog at your docks.
And Empire covers both.
We've got several ships currently waiting for a free space to unload. And the way that you go about mitigating that is once you get up to
and between have and
you will be able to construct these, which are piers, and they effectively act as a second dock, allowing ships to come in and load and unload together, and that will effectively stop any backlog. So here I've already done that now, and effectively it's allowed the backlog to clear. But you do need the artisans here to do that. Once you get to bigger ships, you can then start selling your ships off to NPCs, and in order to do that, you just select the ship meant it's in the harbor of the NPC and press the sell ship function. And that's it, guys. You now know how to trade in Anno 1800. I hope this tutorial has helped.